Welcome back to Hope This Is Helpful. I am your host, Tierra, and I'm joined by my handsome husband.
I'm back. My name changed back to Leon.
This is a podcast where we give our intra-able perspective on everything and nothing. And our topic for today is going to be date nights. But before we get into that, we are going to do, we don't have no name for these segments yet, but we're going to do an intimacy card. So we're going to ask a question and we're both going to answer it.
I apologize for the noise. If there is any noise, I don't know if you can hear it. Somebody's cutting down some leaves on a much needed tree. And we don't have any other day to record, so sorry. But I'll edit that out.
Okay, this is a good question. What do you think I'm teaching you?
Teach me. I think you teach me to do new things, to get out of my comfort zone, to get out of my. I don't like change. I don't like to change. I like my routine. But I think you get me out of it a lot. Not in a bad way.
Yeah, I mean, when you say not in a bad way, does that mean that there is people that you can be taught things in a bad way?
No, not taught things in a bad way, but
well,
you
I
can.
honestly should answer my own question because the American public school system does teach things in a bad way. So let's not even answer that question. Let's just move on.
But I'm just saying that you could not like what somebody is teaching you. I didn't like everything my mama taught me. No, like, you know what I'm saying.
Fair.
So like I could not like you trying, not like that, but like to encourage me to do other stuff. Like I could be resentful of it, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I mean, at the moment I'm like, no, I won't do that, but then I'm like, all right, it was alright.
I think for me, you teach me. Well, I'm actually going to say it this way. In the beginning of our relationship, I think one of the things that I found attractive about you was that you reminded me to be young. You were very funny, and Leon is younger than me, so I feel like he kind of has like this, like a smidge of like youthfulness, because he's also very like much an old soul. So I think like in the beginning it was that remembering to let my hair down and to live a little and to laugh a little and not take life so seriously. We are now, 10 years together?
Almost 10 years, yeah.
And I think in this season, in this phase of our life, you are teaching me patience. And I actually said to myself yesterday, getting in the car, what does being patient really even look like? How do I know that I have achieved maximum level of patience? How can I gain more patience? Because I do think that I am more patient than I used to be, but sometimes I have moments that feel really hard that I wish I was more patient in. And I think that's why I asked myself that question of like, what does patience look like for other people? Is there really a way to be the most patient? Do these obstacles ever get you to where you want to be in the level of patience you want to have? Or is it just one of those things that you are constantly growing in?
I'm gonna say, I feel like the only time you get maximum level of patience, you reach level 1,000 when you get to heaven. You're gonna wait a long time in heaven. Like, I don't think, like, on earth, you just, like, it's human nature. So, like, you can try to be better at it, but sometimes you're like, no, I want it now.
Do you think maximum level of patience is whatever level of patience you have that keeps you from responding in the way that you didn't want to in that moment? And in that moment, you have maximum level of patience. And then the days or the moments that you don't, it is just human that you did not have them.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah, your level, everyone's level is different.
Because as I was asking myself the question, I was also reflecting on the years that I felt like I did not have patience, and it kind of felt like I was taking myself into a place that wasn't fair, because I am trying to like work on not being a perfectionist. And so I think even asking myself maximum level, to me, there's no in between. It's like I have to be, this is something that I need, so I need to be perfect at it. It needs to be the best level of patience I've ever had. But I don't allow myself to be human in that. I don't allow myself to make mistakes in that. And so like trying to even achieve maximum level of patience could also be unhealthy. It could be allow yourself to be a human that makes mistakes, that you are patient. Don't consider yourself to not be a patient person.
Yeah.
Maybe you are actually a really patient person, and you're just having a human experience, and you're a human who makes mistakes, and you should also consider that as well.
You know why I'm so patient?
Why?
Because I've been a patient for a long time.
right. Our next segment is where we share a story about our wonderful, imperfect 5-year-old.
Why does she? I'm always caught off guard. I know the routine, and I'm always thinking story.
I probably didn't remind you. It's been a minute.
I'm trying to think of. I always forget. I told you before. I always forget stories. She just does something every day, and it's just like mind blowing. I think so. For me, I think the last one was we were driving on the road. Where else do you drive? It's like the Jetsons. We were driving, and I was trying to explain to her there were 7 continents. Cause she asked me a question about something. Oh, she asked me a question like, "Are we in Delaware or Wilmington?" I was like, "Well, we're in the city of Wilmington, in the state of Delaware." And I said, "Well, there's 7 continents." She's like, "I know." It started singing, and I was just mind blown. I think I'm mind blown how much she's learning at school because she doesn't share it like with us per se. You just hear it when you have conversations where they're like, "How the heck you know that? Like, how do you know that?" So I think for me, a lot of the stories is just how much she's learning. Like, she's learning a lot of stuff, and I'm not teaching it. So I don't feel bad about that, but just like my kid is smart and I'm happy, but it's like I'm not doing them.
Yeah, if you are a newer parent, it is one of those things that you have to be really. I don't want to say good at. What I will say is her school is good at giving us questions to ask her to pull out from her the things that they are going over and learning in school, because kids don't share. You ask them how their day was, and the answer is fine, okay, good. I'll even ask her what was her favorite part of her day to get a more descriptive answer, and she'll just say everything. So kids aren't easy to get information out of. So yeah, I think they help us to do good at asking questions to know like what her day looked like. So on the topic of school, my story is going to be, she is a newer 5-year-old who's started kindergarten, and we have been facing some behavior issues, because that is one of the areas that she is, I don't want to take anything from her, but I for the sake of conversation and lack of a better word, she is not as mature in. Mm-hmm. So her coping skills on how to handle things that she does not like, how to acknowledge the part that she played in things, is something that we're still working on. And so I am proud of her for being able to kind of communicate that in the best way possible for herself. She has been able to say part of what makes it hard is the noise level. Part of what makes it hard is catching the bus in the morning. And even if she can't necessarily remember to use her skills, she's very vocal about, that's a coping mechanism that I don't want to use. I don't want to count with my hand. I want to try something else. And so I love that she is able to, we have created a space. So kudos to us. We have created a space where she is very vocal, and she feels safe to share her vulnerability. She feels safe to share her struggles and her desires and her needs. And so we can all work as a team, the teachers, the support staff at her school, and us as parents along with her, to come up with a plan on how we can best support her as she transitions into this new environment. I thought that it would be easier because she's not new to school. She went to preschool. She was in a classroom full of kids then. But with that said, I don't want to assume anything or not give her something, because this should be easy for you. You were already in school. So I love that she is exactly who we want her to be. And when somebody said that to me about her, I've held on to that statement in the hard times, that she is exactly who I want her to be. So I am proud of her for having a voice and for using it.
Very well.
All right. So our topic for today is date night. Like we said, we have been together for 10 years, and we have been parents for 5 of those years. And so I think date night looks a lot different for us now as parents, and parents of a kindergartner, versus when we were parents of a newborn. It was so much easier, or like a baby. It's so much easier to find babysitters.
Yeah, people love babies. They don't like whatever we have. Kindergarten.
Well, I don't think honestly, I don't think it's people that dislike the fact that she's 5. We have a good support system. I think that we have a hard time leaning on our support system because we're not used to it. And I think with the pandemic and the amount of time we spent at home, just the 3 of us, and like we just mentioned, she uses her voice and she's very vocal about what she ain't trying to do or what she ain't fitting to do. So I feel like it becomes harder because she will tell you, I don't like when that person babysits me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go to that person's house. I don't want to sleep anywhere but my own bed. So that makes it a little. It has created some. I don't want to say issues, but obstacles in terms of like getting babysitters and like planning dates. And so some of the things that we have leaned into with, I guess, in regards to her, since we're already on that topic, is asking her and not asking her in a way that's like, hey, we trying to go on a date, you gonna be okay with that?
Yeah.
More like, hey, we have plans this day coming up. Who do you want to watch you? Who would be your preference of whose house do you want to spend time at while we go on this date? And then we kind of give her an idea of like, hey, we need you to stay overnight with somebody. Who are your top 2 choices? So we can ask these people and get an idea of who can actually keep you overnight. Or we're going to be maybe 5 hours. Who do you want to spend time with for maybe 5 hours on this day? You'll go around this time. You might have this meal with them. We will come pick you up. It may be late. It may not be late. We give her...
We prep her.
We prep her, but I also think in prepping her, it allows her to know, like, dating is a thing that is normal for husband and wife. And I want you to be supportive of that. Because even the last date we went on, she's like, oh, what are you guys going to do? And I was like, oh, we're going to go... I think we were going to go...
concert?
We were going to the library to listen to the concert, and she's like, I hope you guys have fun listening to music. I
think that's the maturity too in her. Like before we would talk about, no, y'all can't go, don't leave. Now she like basically go, like have fun, dude. Like y'all need to talk, y'all need, like, cause we tell her that, like we tell her for us to stay happy, for us to stay a happy family, mommy, daddy have to have time together, have to talk to each other, have to spend, love on each other.
Yeah.
And she's understanding that, and she's respecting it, and like I said, we just raising a kid that's, I want to say, well-rounded.
Yeah, that's the hope. And the way somebody worded it recently was, this will be her norm. This will be for her. It may be things that I don't think are like sinking in, but for her, it will be her norm. She will know that this is what my mom and dad did. If nobody else, this is what, hopefully by the time she becomes an adult, she knows what a healthy relationship looks like, to know like part of a healthy relationship looks like date nights.
Yeah.
And so we do have good support system. We do have to do better at leaning on them because like one of the things we kind of struggle with is, do we use free help or do we pay for a babysitter?
Yeah.
And some of that is because of the distance. I think we do like to assume that the friends that are a little bit closer are busy, and you feel that guilt of like asking somebody to watch your kid when they have their own life going on. They may have their own kids, and so I don't always feel as comfortable asking them to like watch her for like a date night. But then I think we just haven't really got comfortable yet with like paying a stranger to come in, and not necessarily a stranger. I think the people we have considered thus far have been teachers from her preschool that she has definitely had like a bond, a relationship with. So there would be a level of like comfort there, but it's still very different to have those people be her preschool teacher at the school versus people in your house.
Yeah, and I've never had people in my house. I don't like people in my house, so for me it's very weird. I'm really private.
Yeah. So really we now have our niece who is 12. And she's old enough and interested in babysitting, so we have used her once as a paid babysitter, and that's kind of like the happy medium of, it's not a stranger in our home, it's somebody that Noelle is comfortable with, she's excited about, but she's also going to get paid to help us. And I think, like, for Leon, the issue has been thus far distance. So if we are going to go into Philly for a date night, he feels a little less comfortable with the 12-year-old watching her because we're not as close. Yeah. Versus if we were going, like when we went to listen to music, we were only going from 15 minutes away, so we were kind of close. So it's having to learn what each other needs to feel comfortable, because then a date night isn't going to be fun if one of the parents is like paranoid or worried about what could be happening at home. So trying to find what works for the different types of date nights, who to ask, when to ask. But it's just also having to be very much more intentional about it. One of my friends shared with me that she has secured both grandmothers to watch their kids once a month, so that allows them to have 2 date nights every month because the grandmoms are going to come and watch the babies.
Our grandma love.
Yes, that was another thing. We also thought
This is not even date night no more. This is like parenting date night. We're going to have to come back with a part 2.
No, we're going to hit all of
Oh, gotcha.
it. You don't think we have time?
Check it out. I don't know what time we had been on. I think we almost close to 3.
Oh,
No, we give it.
yeah, well, we thought that we were going to have a grandmom that was going to be closer. She was closer to retirement age, so we thought we was going to be like, oh, this will be perfect. She can come over whenever. She can stay whenever. And she moved.
And as we said, no, we had my mom, but my mom was married, and I'm like, no, man, there's other
She's
people
newly
there,
married.
newly married. So I like to respect that, like to make sure she has her time. And I mean, she loves Noe, and she wants her to come over. I just, we have to. I have to let go.
Maybe we have to ask, like,
yeah,
hey,
I
like,
mean,
maybe
yeah.
we have to do that same thing of like, do you think you can find like one day every month that you can keep her?
Yeah.
And like letting her pick how many hours can you keep her once a month so we can do something, and then we can just kind of work around that.
So we're gonna just send her this clip right here.
Which can actually take us into our next topic of coming up with date night ideas. Once upon a time, we had a date night jar. We still have it. We just actually haven't used it.
As a whole.
We did it in a way that like one color is dates that we can do at home. Another color is dates that would require us to go out of the house, because I do like to consider like how Leon might be feeling, or even how I feel. Sometimes I do want to just be home, especially if it's only like a couple hours. Like if it's going to be like your mom watching her for like 4 hours, sometimes it's just like we can just stay home and do something, and you can still get that sense of like intimacy without having to like really go far. And so we also have apps on our phone that help with intimacy. We have the cards that we used beginning of this episode that are meant for intimacy, to kind of help you go a little bit below. They're called they're from Skin Deep, so it kind of helps you go a little bit deeper in your conversations, so that you actually feel like you're building intimacy and not just parents who are on a break from being parents. They actually have journals out there that you can like journal together in terms of like building intimacy and having conversation. So those are some of the things that we have used over the years that have helped us come up with different dates. And then lastly is that
I'm still bad at dates. I gotta work on it. I don't. You come up with great ideas. What ideas do I come up with for dates? Exactly. Exactly. You come up with great. You're like, I'm just the I don't, in this marriage, it's like you got the great ideas. I make them happen. Like I see it through. Like whatever you want to do. Like
got to see it through.
Yeah. Like I guess that is me. Like I'm a worker. Like I'm that kind of person. I'm not. I think I'm not a creative. I am a creative, but in my own way.
Well, I think that's the way that we kind of complement each other. In that I am a researcher. I am a learner.
But it make me feel bad.
And I do like to plan. So, I don't know.
It's weird. Like, I just don't want you to... Like, I would never want you to be like, you don't do nothing.
Well, I think that's when the date night jar comes into play, because it can be like it gives you a starter, and it gives you ideas that you don't have to feel bad about, because they're right there in front of you. You can literally just pull one out.
Because I wanted it, and I'm like, I can't get it. It's glass.
I don't know why he felt the need to whisper that, but
it's
basically
like there,
it's on a shelf that he cannot reach.
I just want to mess with it. I just played. It's not accessible.
So this is our last portion of this episode: accessibility and date night.
Oh, it's big. That's like another thing for me. That it used to, because I was a little fatter. My chairs was clunkier. That would take the fun out of it for me, because it was like, what the heck? But
I'm waiting for you to say more.
Oh, like because some places weren't accessible. Like places we wanted to go, like they would have a step. The door would be too small.
Oh, I guess so. I think what I'm hearing you say is that trying to visit an inaccessible place and making the most of it was harder due to the size of your chair and your weight. And now that you kind of have gained a little bit more independence, you are open to
a lot more.
Like we do have a date plan. You have to call today, which is another thing. Having to call ahead to go places. There's a place that we want to go to tomorrow because we do have a babysitter in the middle of something today on a Saturday. I'm still grateful. And it's not accessible. And I was ready to find somewhere else to go. But Leon really liked the vibe this place has. He's really interested in the idea. I like that it's different. It's candle making. It's something we've done before, but that place that we went to before is much further away from where we live now, and it's a bigger venue. So I think he likes the fact that this place is kind of like held in not somebody's house, but it looks like a house that they converted into a business. And so I think he likes that intimate vibe that they have. And I'm excited about it too. However, I feel like even on date nights, I am still working. And that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Because he's okay with like, oh, it's like maybe 2 steps to get up. And I love that he doesn't have to, I love that he's not a power chair user that has to like,
be confined to certain places.
Yeah, that will look at that and say, I can't do that at all. I like that he's willing to try, because once we get inside, it could be like one of the best date nights we've ever had. But yeah, it just still kind of sucks that I feel like I have to be like on top of my game of like, ooh, I have to be strong enough as well as his strength to like for sure get him in, and then also for sure get him out, which means I also have to be like, girl, make sure you don't drink too much because you are still.
She can get. I'm not answering.
Still working.
I can get out. I can back down.
I just feel like I need to be like on it, because the last thing you need is for you to fall, and then now now there's an audience. Now there's people concerned. Now it's, oh my god, like that's not fun.
Then guess
like,
what?
I think it takes. Then now it's not intimate. Now it's like.
No, I would fall coming out. My fall was coming out. And then they'd be like, oh my god, we should make this accessible. And then I'm going to cut the marble and make it ring.
No, people would be like, oh my god, I feel terrible. And then they're going to move on with the rest of their day and the rest of their life. They'll wake up the next day and probably not think about it. I'm not going to assume that they won't, but, you know. I think sometimes people look at these things and they're like, they see it as, I don't know how to fix this. Or like, I can't afford to fix this. And they kind of have to move on in their minds.
We also just need to call because the back may be accessible too. You know how that goes.
I doubt that it is, but and make sure when you call that you ask them about the doorways to make sure they're wide enough.
Yeah. About that.
But yeah, I think date nights from an inter-able perspective becomes a little bit different in that sense that like I do feel like I'm still working for him as his caregiver, which is better than like a third party coming with us. Like that would just be even more awkward. That like, oh, look at Jim. Jim just sit in the corner while we make these candles until it's time for us to get back out of here. But then I also feel like it comes into play when I think of what I'm going to wear.
Yeah.
Like I never really been huge on heels anyway, so like I don't feel like, oh my god, I really love wearing high heels and now I can't do that because I have to make sure he can get in and out. I think if I really loved them and I could maneuver them well, I probably would still just wear them. But I do also feel like, you know, there's times where I've like worn a certain skirt or a certain dress, and then I'm like having to tie it up because it's so long that I don't want it to get caught in, like, I don't want him to roll over it if I'm like trying to help him back down or like move forward.
That's something we should work, because for real, I think going forward, once I get my new chair, hopefully them things don't have to happen as much. I'm a lot more. I can move my chair a little easier sometimes.
Okay.
No, I am able to maneuver a little easier. So hopefully I can take some of that load off. That is my goal, because my biggest fear is I'm not gonna always be this abled.
Yeah.
It's going to get worse. I'm going to be, you know, I mean, I hope not, but I'm going to do everything I can not to be, but I shouldn't be doing what I do now. Like, I should not do anything that I do now. I was paralyzed from the neck down, so, like, I take every day for, like, you know, not for granted, but I take every day, I'm grateful for every moment, so I'm always planning and trying to do as much as I can now, because I wouldn't want to burn you out. Yeah, I wouldn't want to burn you out, like, now with bull crap, and then 10 years from now, hey, can you get my power chair? Like, it's a juggling act for me sometimes.
I do think that when we hit that point, if and when we hit that point of a power chair, it could also be, maybe for me, a sense of relief. Like, now I don't have to worry about taking a chair apart and putting it back. And we haven't done that as much as we did in the past, where I'll put your chair together and take your chair apart.
It'll be a new set.
Like I don't have to worry as much about like, are you tired from like rolling? Like, you know, some people like to go on romantic strolls, and it's like, I'm always worried about like if you're tired. Do you have your motor tonight? Like, it's those type of things that if you were in a power chair, those things are kind of eliminated. But then the flip side of it is finding as many places as we enjoy that would be accessible for a power chair user.
Yeah.
And I think I'm curious what life is like in bigger cities and states, because we live in little Delaware, where I think it's a lot. It's
pace.
harder to find places for us to go for dates that's not just like going out to eat. Even if I am okay with like going back into Pennsylvania, going into Philly, you know, will that come into play as we get older? Maybe it won't be that big of a deal because she'll be older and the need for like the concern won't be there as much as it has been.
Yes.
But sometimes it's nice to know that you have things close by. Like,
yeah.
I don't always want to go super far just to
Takes
enjoy.
the fun out of it.
Just to enjoy a date night. But I do think that like a lot of the things that we really do enjoy doing, or like a lot of the things that become trendy as dates, are not close to us or aren't that safe or accessible. Like I like axe throwing. I would want to do that with him, but that may not be safe for him to do.
Oh, once I get into a chair, I'm gonna try it. I have good brakes. My brakes will be good. I'm trying it. I want to throw something. I mean, I might hit myself, but I'm gonna throw that.
That's what I'm saying. That might not be safe. Like that whole, what's it called? The smash the room? Is that what it's called?
I want to do that too. Yeah.
Like that ain't safe for you to do either.
I use pneumatic tires.
You get a flat tire.
I said I gotta get the great tires, get them old clunker dunker tires, and I'm good. I'm in there like swimwear.
Like I don't want to do board. I mean, I'm not gonna say I would never do it again, but like
board and brush.
Board and brush, we've done more than once. The whole paint and sip. I don't need another painting.
I'll do candle making a lot. I like candles.
Candle making is fun.
I'll do candle making all day.
And we use candles a lot in this house. Yeah. So if this works out, it'll be definitely something we can do again. Even like somebody that we know found a place closer to us than them that hosts like a very intimate like dinner, and they're not accessible. And it's like I watch it in her stories, like, oh my god, that food looks so good. Like I would love to go, and like it's a whole vibe. I'm just gonna watch it in your stories because they're not accessible. When I reached out to them, they weren't even trying to figure out how to be accessible. So, yeah. That is that on that.
I'm gonna let you go.
All right, I'm gonna let y'all go.
Right? Why'd you just do it like that? Like, you just ended it awkwardly. We should just end it right now. Like, it should just be, like, it just end.
Done.
No, but I mean, like, we're not even gonna say, hey, follow us. That's how it's gonna end. I'm gonna let you go.
No.
Yes. Guys, get out of here.
I hope this episode was helpful. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you guys in 2 weeks.